What's up, Squad fam? It's your boy, Matty Ice, back at it again with another video. Let's see if we can get this one to 15,000 likes to... Nah, I'm playing. Did you imagine? Nah, I ain't, nah. Nah, but for real, it's your boy, Matty Ice, Matty Spice, Matty Nice. What's good? I'm super bored all the time because I'm recently unemployed. So I decided to make a little video because all I do now is play Fortnite on my Switch, Xbox, and laptop. So what I wanted to do today was make a little bit of a review of a movie that just came out like tomorrow. I happened to see it yesterday. Little movie I've been waiting for called Incredibles 2. So 2 days ago on Tuesday, I was scrolling through my Instagram. I see an ad for a double feature for Incredibles 1 and 2 on IMAX. So I'm like, hell yeah. So I went yesterday. So I'm back to back. It was about 4 hours long in total. And it didn't help the second one. Because as you know, Incredibles 1 is a masterpiece. And the second one, the sequel was just, it was okay. It wasn't fantastic like the first one. It wasn't terrible like Cars 2. It was, in the middle. It was alright. It was watchable. Before I get into this shit that I didn't like so much, that was really kind of stupid, I will say, fantastic animation, as it should be. It's, it's 2018. I know this is the 2018 current year, but it should, technology should be advancing. So the animation was, A1, 13. Nah. Moving past the things that were good, these are the things that were not good, and I'm not gonna spoil anything right here. So the thing about The Incredibles 2 that I read online somewhere is that Brad Bird didn't want to make a sequel unless he had a really, really good story worth telling. And he didn't. Sorry, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Bad story. Not good. Didn't make sense. Not even talking about just the plot, but there were a lot of things that were kind of a little bit whack. Like, for instance, the second movie literally starts as the first one's ending, with the undermine and everything, which takes place only 3 months after the climax, when Syndrome steals the baby and everything. So there's only a 3-month difference between pretty much the end of the first one, the end of the story, and then the beginning of the second one. But I know it's not anyone's fault, but they all sound a lot older because it has been 14 years since the first one was released. So that's not in anyone's control, but it's still he sounds really old. Mr. Incredible sounds super old, even though it's supposed to take immediately after the first one ended. It kind of took me out of it a little bit, not gonna lie. Another thing I kind of didn't like is that they had a lot of modern jokes and modern references, even though the movie takes place in the 50s. I'm not even spoiling anything here. When in the trailers, they have the joke about Mr. Incredible doing Dash's homework with him, and he's like, oh, they changed it. It's new math.
I don't know that way. Why would they change math?
New math? Come on. New math is a recent thing, right? Not a 50s thing. It's kind of a little bit whack. One of the major plot points, but one of the plot points was that they put body cams on the superheroes, Ring a bell to anybody? Body cams? Yeah. It's kind of a bit whack because it takes place 60 years ago? I don't know. Another thing that I didn't like was that a lot of the character traits from the first one didn't really line up with the second one, even though it takes place immediately right after. For instance, in the first one, before the whole, off to the island, the superhero thing, he was kind of a piece of shit father. He was just going to his stupid little job and coming home, reading the paper at the table, not listening, not giving a shit like a normal cartoon dad. And at the end, he was still a superhero, but he wasn't in the second one, he's a major, his whole, the whole beeline of the plot is that he is feeling like he's failing as a father because, Elastigirl's doing a superhero thing and he's left to be the parent and he's not being very successful, and he's super broken up about it, even though it kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense for his character now because it's been 3 months since the first one and he was like a good dad, and also I don't know, it just doesn't feel, it didn't feel right to me. Also, Violet, in the first one, typical teenage girl, super anxiety, super anxious, can't really talk to people. She, in the beginning, the fucking Tony Reininger comes out and she turns her head invisible because he looks in her direction. But in this one, she goes up to him like a couple of times and starts talking crazy shit, which doesn't make any sense for her character because she's supposed to be super awkward and quiet and invisible. Like, where in this 3 months did this happen that she just became a butterfly? It just doesn't, it's kind of bad. One last specific thing that I didn't like about it besides the entire plot. Fuck you! One last thing I didn't like. One last thing that I specifically didn't like was that, I know I keep saying it takes place 3 months after, but I thought it takes place 3 months after the first one, like the story ended. Like there was like the last part at the track meet and shit, but like that's kind of like pretty much the second one already. It takes place 3 months after, and yet they talk about the events of the first one like they were old memories and shit. Like, Mr. Incredible needs to find a job again because, he got fired from his insurance job and superheroes are still legal. So he said, honey, where's my suit and ties? Because I need to go find a job. And then she's like, they burned up. And they're both together like, oh, when the plane crashed in our house. Like it wasn't 3 months ago. How did he forget that already? It's so stupid. I know it's like one joke, but like, you kind of just can't forget that the events of the first one were 3 months ago, and yet it just feels like such a completely different timeline, different. It just doesn't feel like they should have made it right after this. All right, so those are like the little specific little gripes I had with it, but just in general, the plot so bad. Like, if you read the tagline or something, it'll just basically say, Elastigirl fights the screenslaver, which is technically not wrong, but also not the whole picture. And let's just say the whole picture is really dumb and stupid and just not good and disappointing, and it doesn't make any sense. And I really don't feel like going into the plot because I know if I start to talk about it, I want to do the whole thing, and I just don't want to do that. But just trust me, it's so stupid. It's bad. So that's my review of Incredibles 2, if you could even call it that. It's basically me shitting on specific things and then just saying the plot is bad and animation's good. It's not a really good review. But the thing is, I don't give a shit. I'm bored, I'm unemployed, basically. I work weekends now, and I just need shit to do. And this is one of them. If you stayed this far, it's your fault. Thanks for watching.